We're going to discuss healthier living with some of the most unlikely sources with one of my former college roommates, Mr. or Dr. or Mr. Richard Straitiff, also known as DR Fitness, on this episode of the Scho-Zone. All right, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. It is your host, Ryan Schofield, coming at you from the Degen Sen, as I call it to everybody listening. Like, subscribe, share, all that douchebag stuff that podcast hosts say. Typically, I don't really get too warmed up into everything. I just get the guest on as soon as I can, is the joke I say. We don't spit on it. We don't lube it up. We just get right to it. And we are pressed for time a little bit, so we're going to rush right into it. So, everybody, welcome to the Scho-Zone. Richard Straitiff, also known as DR Fitness, not Dr. Fitness. Trust me, nobody's ever going to confuse this guy with a doctor. Rich, how are we doing this morning?
Awesome. It's Monday. It's the toughest day of the week.
Well, especially when, Richard is from the Buffalo, New York area, and he had a really, really big day yesterday as the Bills took down the Chiefs. This episode may not get posted for a day or two, but we're recording this on Monday, and it's good to see that you're still up to the same old things, buddy.
That's right. The Bills did really good yesterday. I was surprised. We had a campfire, and I projected the game up on in my backyard on a sheet with it was pretty cool.
So you're not in Western New York anymore, though, are you?
No, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Which is where most of Western New York migrates to, from what I understand.
A huge population of migrants from Buffalo area and Western New York here in Charlotte and Raleigh.
I've given Raleigh a little bit of a look myself. Not that I'm a Western New Yorker by birth. I'm a Albany, New York kind of guy. But I've always been wondering if I move down there, it's like, okay, am I just looking for better weather and better taxes? Because I'm just gonna be around the same assholes, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And it does have better weather and better taxes. That school tax that y'all pay, we don't have that here.
Oh, you're officially Southern enough. You just use y'all very organically.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the weather is going to be 72 today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, we're going to be like in the 50s, for November. That's like being 72 as far as we're concerned up here. There's still going to be a few people wearing shorts, I'm sure, around here. But anyways, little background on this one. Richard, or Dick as I refer to him as, or Dickard as I used to refer to him. Him and I used to live together once upon a time, and it's kind of funny that we're going to be talking about some health and fitness type things because, well, when you and I lived together, we used to work out all the time, but we also drank pretty heavily, like 8 nights a week kind of thing.
Oh, yes. We definitely partied hard in college.
Which is probably the thing, though, is that, there we were always working out really hard, and how much of a fucking waste of time that was when we were just going and doing what we were doing at night. Rich, I'm just looking at you right now. What are you down, about like 50, 60 pounds from college?
Yeah, I've been working on it, slimming down. At one point, I got up to 250 and then trimmed down to 190, but now I'm hovering above 200 a bit.
Yeah, so 50, 60 pounds, like I said. I could just tell just by looking there. Me, there was a couple of different little ups and downs there where I'm carrying about $162 is about my walk around weights. Can fluctuate a pound or two here and there based on I do a lot of healthier living now. I haven't drank in over 2 years, so that really curbs a lot of things. And Dick can tell you that there's some people that if they never drank with me, then they're kind of like, oh, you don't have to But most people that drank with me, they're not exactly disappointed to hear that I quit.
Yeah, I can't really say there's too many good things about not quitting. So, I mean, if you quit, that's more power to you. I have become a challenge to when I talk to people who do quit entirely alcohol. How do they be social when other people are drinking and you're not? That's what I see as a huge challenge with that.
It's kind of the I can do limit. It's a moderation thing. The thing I couldn't do with alcohol, I have to do with that socializing, because when you're not drinking, you don't pay attention to how much people are drinking. Like I've had a couple times where I've, been the DD, hanging out with people. And like, I just remember one time I went to use the bathroom and I came back and I'm like, did all my friends just conspire to be the most annoying versions of themselves possible? And I'm like, oh, wait, they just got drunk. That's what happened. The booze finally started hitting. And, you just kind of take with it. And sometimes people will ask me, how do you hang out in a bar for a while and not get the desire to drink? And I'm like, it's easy. I just look around me.
Yeah, that's true. You see how someone that was this smart just starts to get less smart over the time as more alcohol gets in their system. They say weird stuff and you're like, oh, if you can only see yourself now.
I kind of look at it as that it reverts somebody back to being a child a little bit, where suddenly like all of these rules and like things that we've kind of conditioned ourselves into doing, they just go out the window.
True.
Like, it's kind of like, why are you pissing in the corner? It's like,
Yeah.
But so anyways, a little bit about our guest here is that Dickard, or DR Fitness, which I love that I almost called you Dr. Fitness, which, I like that you did a nice little play on that whole thing right now. You're actually between personal training sessions right now, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. I just got done training a doctor. Internal med doctor was my last client. And then now I'll be training an entrepreneur who sells medical devices to hospitals.
It's crazy how this world works. So, I mean, obviously I see you post a decent amount. You're big on, you do a lot of fasting, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, once a week. I do 24 or 36, and once a quarter I do like a 72 or an 86-hour fast. So it's something I've just been doing for the last 4 years. It's pretty interesting.
I've done the fast too, and it's weird how, again, just kind of like how a cigarette smoker, they have these rituals that they smoke cigarettes around. I have found that once you get over the 24-hour hump of not eating and just drinking water, I mean, because that's basically what you do. You just live off of water at that point, correct?
That and like green tea, like I'm drinking here.
Okay. I kind of start finding that you'll have that like, okay, I just got done with this. This is usually when I'd have a snack thing, but you're like, wait, once you get past that mental barrier of it, it's like, wait, no, I'm not actually hungry. I just think I need to eat right now.
Yeah, you get bored, and that's the problem. One of my main benefits of fasting is to reset my mindset or my relationship with food, because as you know, growing up, I just love to eat. So
yes, to describe this, you could just literally just have a fridge full of random shits, and Dick would just find a way to just put them all together into one pile and just call it a gourmet meal.
Oh yeah, garbage plate, whatever you want to call it. I mean, so when I fast, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I don't need to eat. Yeah, we can just not eat, and then I got to focus on something else, which makes me more productive at work or whatnot. So it's kind of nice.
I mean, I go on, and so like, what would you describe as kind of like your regular diet? Because as I've kind of been changing my ways a little bit, I have learned that is a very, very important, the old adage, you can't outwork a bad diet, but also just, what you're putting into your body is also going to improve what you're getting out of your body.
Well, let's see. I start out with coffee and protein powder. And then I eat these like small 2-cup Pyrex dishes. This one has chicken and Brussels sprouts. And then this other one is like home lentils. I made a bunch of lentils. So that's just 3. And that'll happen before like noon. So then I'll have 2 others and then dinner. So I'll eat about 6 times. And then possibly a nightcap with like 20 grams of protein via egg whites.
Okay.
Like 6,
you don't do the yolks?
Well, I have a box. That's one of my tricks for getting extra protein. At like 10 p.m., 6 ounces of egg whites is 20 grams of protein. From the box, it's already like pasteurized or something, so you're not going to get sick. It even says add it to smoothies right on the box, like. So I drink that, and that has extra leucine, which increases muscle protein synthesis. So right before you go to bed, if you want to build more muscle, you want to have some kind of protein. So that one works really well. Some people take casein protein powder.
I basically this is what I wanted to get out of you too. This is as much for me as it is for anybody listening. I wanted to kind of describe like my daily diet, which I kind of have this like, it's no formal diet. I've just kind of taken a little dash of this and a little dash of that. And then I just kind of by trial and error, just kind of came up with this. But my typical day, I'll start off with, well, I haven't been to the gym in like a week because I just got over being sick. I wanted to get there early today because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to talk to a trainer, I should probably be all on there. But with my diet that I haven't been to the gym in almost 10 days. And I really don't have any drastic changes in my physique, which is kind of, I feel like the ultimate, like, pinnacle of things when you can actually maintain something. But I basically kind of go out of that. I'll eat a Greek yogurt, a banana, and I'll have a protein shake, and I'll have a couple of eggs in the morning. That's kind of like a little spaced out. Or maybe I bring the Greek yogurt with me to work. At work, I like to have a Greek yogurt or, the yogurt there, and I'll bring some berries to kind of snack on. And at nighttime, I go to Aldi by me, and I get a pound of 93.7 ground beef, and I have that I'll melt on some, cheese that's not processed, like, some kind of cheddar or a Swiss or something like that, and like 2 baked potatoes, maybe occasionally mix in a vegetable. And that's pretty much most of my regular eating on there. I kind of try to follow the idea of like eating, making sure that 50% of my calories at least are coming from protein, but I don't even do any hard calculations on it. That's just kind of the loose goal I have. Do you think that's an effective strategy that's going to work for me?
Well, let's see. You said you're 160 some pounds, correct?
Yeah, 162.
And you eat the whole pound of beef at night, you said?
Yeah.
So let's say 4 ounces is about 25 grams of protein. So that's like a whole 100 grams because 16 ounces is a pound. So you times that by 4. So you have 100 grams of protein just for dinner. And then the rest of your day sounds like it's going to be more than 50 or 60 grams. You want to get about a gram per pound of body weight. Or a good ratio would be a gram per pound of lean body mass. So if your weight is 160, your muscle and bone might be like 140, 145, or even 150. So anywhere between 150 and 160 grams. And sounds like you're getting it and you're having that big meal at night. Some people might argue, well, I don't know if you're going to actually absorb all that 100 grams of protein in one sitting because it's a lot. But other studies have said you can absorb maybe up to 100 grams. So that'd be my only concern, is just maybe spreading that out a little bit, but which is kind of, I guess, my strategy. I aim for like 180 grams to 200. I just spread it out all day, but who has the time to do that sometimes?
Well, I will say that the one thing I kind of, and this is maybe, all I do is justify my poor decisions, I guess I would say. But I have a job. I work in sales where I'm on a sales floor. I probably put on about 17,000 steps a day just throughout my day of work and like my regular travels. So I kind of feel like that I have a deficit I can kind of narrow down a little bit through that. And I look at it as that getting the majority of my protein's always going to be a better form of calories than anything else, correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to limit carbohydrates because then that stops insulin spikes. So you want to regulate insulin is basically your whole thing, because if you regulate insulin, you can keep growth hormone around, testosterone around, and those are good longevity ones for you, like hormones to keep high in your body. So eating meat and less carbs helps you build more muscle, have more testosterone, and not gain weight. And then all your steps are just going to be burning more fat. So you're probably just by doing that every day, and you said you hadn't worked out in 10 days and you've maintained. So that's great because you're active and you maintain a set diet that wasn't too many calories. So that's good. And then you want to keep your body building muscle or in building muscle mode called muscle protein synthesis, which by eating enough protein, and by strength training, you can keep your body in that phase, or that, like, it's either 2 phases: build muscle or store fat. You don't want your body in store fat mode. You want to keep it in build muscle mode. Which,
if I'm not mistaken, this is a big change I made, is that I used to I had that phase of, I'm done playing sports. Why do I lift weights and whatnot? And I started doing a lot of running. I mean, I actually did a 10K Tough Mudder where, I really struggle with a lot of the strength parts of it, but I was able to bang out all that running and whatnot. The difference between running and weightlifting, like I've seen some people kind of point out this one. If you go to the gym, you're going to notice a lot of fat people on treadmills and a lot of in shape people with the weights are. Is there, there any kind of credence to that? Where I kind of felt like when I was doing a lot of running, I was that skinny fat kind of thing where I had good wind to me and whatnot, but I felt like I was more tearing my body down by running. And now by lifting weights, and I don't even work out that hard. I maybe do a couple of exercises, maybe like 4 or 5 exercises, like 3 sets. I'll change up the kind of, the weights, the reps goals that I'm going for or whatever. But I actually feel like I'm building myself up rather than tearing myself down. Is there anything to that scientifically?
Oh, yes. Basically, your muscle can be broken down and used as energy. And if your body's not using your muscles, it says, oh, why are we keeping this around? Let's start to get rid of it because Ryan's running me so much. And if you have a caloric deficit, if you're eating less than you're burning, your body wants to get rid of the thing that costs the most calories to keep around, and that's muscle. So it's like, well, we're not using the muscle, we're burning too many calories, and we need to get rid of some. So now what you're doing is 2 good things. The high protein says, oh, well, let's keep muscle a little bit with that muscle protein synthesis, along with strength training. Those 2 things, even the little strength training that you're doing, along with the high protein, your body's like, oh, we need to keep muscle around. Let's build more muscle. And then let's burn fat. So you're doing great on those 2 things. You stopped the running and started lifting. It's perfect.
And I mean, I still have where now that the weather's changed, I was playing basketball like once a week where that would kind of be like, and everything I do is not like a strict day-to-day thing, which I think too many people make the mistake of that they say, I must do this all the time, every day. And I still have a day that I eat a pizza. I still eat a pint of ice cream once a week, those are all things that, feed the beast a little bit. But one thing I've noticed is that when I'm having those good days there, and not to get too graphic, I hardly take a shit. And when I do, it's one big giant solid mass that smells awful. But then if I eat a pizza and some ice cream the next day, I'm fucking spraying the bowl. And I kind of look at that. One of those seems healthier than the other. Is that, kind of a fair assessment?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Probably had on the spray the bowl days, the grease or something just flies right through you. I would say aim for like 38 grams of fiber. This is actually why, literally one of the only reasons why I made this lentil dish. There's like 20 some grams of fiber in here. And that helps kind of be more regular and regulate carbohydrates and reduce risk for colon cancer. Also, I have chia seeds that has like 5 grams of fiber. So I have chia in the morning with omega-3s, which is anti-inflammatory. And then the lentils, and then I have some nutritional yeast that has some fiber, and then some like a salad or something. So I'm getting my fiber intake. So I'm normally once a day maybe, but that kind of helps. So try the fiber thing a little bit. Don't take the Metamucil crap.
Yeah, no, most everything is crap. And honestly, the only reason I even drink the protein shake that I do is that it's got creatine in it, which creatine is is that not like one of the cheat codes of life?
I was on there all year. So I started creatine in January, and then I just stopped it last month because I feel like it's something I don't want to be on all the time. I want to maybe do it for half a year or more and then stop. It seemed like it was doing good, but then I started worrying about all right, it's getting into your muscles, and my heart's a muscle. And I'm like, is this good or bad for my heart over time? I'm just like, I don't know. Let's try taking away from it, seeing how my body recovers. And as long as I keep my protein up and my sleep up, because sleep is important for muscle recovery. And that's really what the whole point of creatine is. Either you want to lift a little bit heavier or sprint a little bit faster. So like an athlete, you can use creatine as an ergogenic aid. There's 5 ergogenic aid, which means it helps athletic performance. So that's the main reason why people take creatine. But you're thinking the recovery aspect, or So I don't know. I'm up in the air about it because like I can't really tell too much of a difference right now than I did 2 months ago when I was on it a lot.
Okay, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's all a little bit of trial and error, but I like when you brought up the idea though of that the don't take the Metamucil stuff where you can get most of the things that you want just out of a good healthy diet, basically.
Pretty much, and that's there's this thing about like getting addicted to supplements, and if I'm what happens to me, every once in a while or every cycles on each year, I start taking creatine, I'll start taking mushroom powders, I'll start taking like more vitamins, I'll start taking this, and I'm like, well, why should I take that too? And I take this and I take that. All of a sudden, my cabinet's full of like all these supplements, and it's like hundreds of dollars. Then I'm like, okay, what is this really doing for me besides breaking my bank account? So I'm like an all or nothing thing. So it's like, well, let's just start pulling it away and only focus on what do we really need. So I was like, well, that's protein powders, like you said. So I take, like a collagen protein, and then a plant-based one that has some greens in it. And then I have like this other one that I take after the workout. So I get like 60 grams with protein powders. That's where I'm at now, and maybe some mushroom coffee. So it's tough. I mean, it depends on how do you judge if it's really the benefits are true or not.
And mushroom coffee, is that, I mean, I've yet to do that. And that's probably, I still have to have something I do wrong. And nicotine and caffeine is my thing. I mean, smokeless. I mean, I did
That's
quit
good.
vaping for a little bit, but things got a little stressful at work and I went back to that. But I do the nicotine pouch I'm about to throw in right now. I have those. I have gotten better at limiting the coffee a little bit because I just feel like that, I started noticing I turn into a crazy person or I become this manic, kind of thing, or, I can't imagine it's necessarily the healthiest, but I also, using my Apple Watch, I kind of started noticing I'm like, I have a very low resting heart rate, believe it or not. I kind of
Good.
usually have a resting heart rate around like 48 beats per minute of a resting rate, which most people that are around me find to be incredibly shocking because they probably think like that I'm a blood pressure fucking nightmare waiting to happen, which is actually not the case at all. It's just I just have all this energy, I guess. And it's only gotten worse since I've quit drinking, I guess.
Well, I could see that. I mean, alcohol is like a nervous system suppressor, so it would kind of calm you down a little bit. But I mean, your personality almost seems like it's high strung, but I think you're just relaxed, and that's just kind of the way you talk fast and you're animated, and that low blood pressure resting that's amazing. I mean, that's due to all the cardio that you're doing and um, and strength. So you should be proud of that, man. I think that's lower than mine.
Yeah, no, so full disclosure on this one, Dick. I had to when things got really bad with the alcohol, when I had to finally call it quits, I had to check myself into a detox, and I checked in with a 0.29 BAC, and when the doctor was one of the guys was checking my vitals after my second day there, and he looked at me. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" He's like, you have a better resting heart rate than I do, and I was like, "Oh, dude, well, I've been training for a Tough Mudder." And he's like, "But it says here you've been drinking 30 drinks a day," and I'm like, "Yeah, I had a bad week," like.
Oh yeah, so you were very functional, I guess. So that was interesting.
Functionally dysfunctional, I guess I would go on. Now that here's the thing is I've learned in quitting things is that I was so shortchanging myself of that the version I was putting out there and that functional state it's like 10% of what I'm able to get out of myself right now. I was just able to get by on, I wasn't taking advantage of some of these gifts, I guess you want to say, that I've been given that, I was bogging down, but had to figure some things out. I had to kind of tear myself down and build myself back up. And it's one thing I really do. I realize is that I have a lot. This is going to become as no shock to anybody, but ADHD, is definitely a thing for me. And I didn't realize I had as much anxiety that I had. And thinking that alcohol was making me feel better was actually just putting gasoline on a fire.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I do agree. You have a lot of potential, and I'm seeing it now. I mean, I thought you should have made this podcast maybe 10 years ago, like back when you were trying comedy, and you're good at just talking. You got that high energy, and keeps people's attention. You got some good things to say, some humor in it and everything. So I'm happy to see you doing all this. I mean, it's
I
awesome.
appreciate that. I'm trying to get things going. And you and I were, again, we lived together for a summer, and we definitely had you and I could not be, we're like fire and ice in the sense of that you kind of have this slow, quiet demeanor to yourself. Like, I feel like that you mostly get your humor across through facial expressions, but there's really no getting a rise out of you, so to speak, kind of thing. Like, you're pretty, even right now, like, you're laid back, I'm trying to picture you as like, because part of being a physical trainer, I got to imagine, is being a motivator, correct?
I would say I'm a positively encouraging coach. So positive encouraging, which I push a client past their normal limits and make them do what they don't want to do, but not be a drill sergeant. I don't yell at the person and like stand over and give me 20 more and just get real like loud. I'm not a loud person, but I get more out of the person than they would get themselves. So,
Well, it's probably a styles makes fights things. And again, it sounds like, the people you just mentioned that you have as clients, people that probably come from academia versus athletic backgrounds, they probably don't like being yelled at as much.
yeah, and their bodies aren't really used to being pushed that hard. A lot of these people are hitting the weights for the first time in their life. Like I mentioned, I had a female doctor before me, plays badminton, but that's the only sport that she plays. And just getting into the gym, she's like, I don't want to be here. I'm only here because we're paying for it, and I know I need it. I'm like, okay, fine. And if I make it too difficult, they don't really want to come back. So you got to make it challenging enough that they get a good benefit out of it, that they want, they know they need it. They feel good afterwards. If you beat up on them too much, they just simply don't come back.
Well, and people beat themselves up so much. Like, there's nothing that makes me cringe more than, and I learned this from my own trial and tribulations, is that I was like, I used to say, you're going to need to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and be at the gym kind of thing, because I had to be to work at like 9 o'clock or whatever. And I realized that having that mentality, I was setting myself up for failure, where it's like, it's like, if I didn't get there at 6 o'clock, I'm like, fuck it, I didn't even do it, and stuff like that. It's like, how about this, Ryan? Just get there.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that. And it's kind of, you'll have the people where, even as I've kind of improved my own self, like where it's like, okay, everyone has all of these bad habits and everyone wants to just end all of them immediately. And it's like, no, you got to kind of one by one do that, because if not, you're going to set yourself up for failure, like where we're all going to have our weak moments or whatever. And if I said, I'm quitting everything all at once, the one nicotine pouch I throw in, and next thing I know, I'm a bottle of Jameson Deep, like it's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's true. You can't go in at all at once. That's kind of what I tell people when they start working out with me, is like, let's just focus on workout and maybe one dietary adjustment, which is usually just add a protein powder to their day, because nobody ever gets the amount of protein that they should if they want to lose weight.
Sounds like I do.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Yeah, so you're fine because you eat meat. Some of these vegetarian folk have a challenge.
Right. And it's like, it's always one of those things that if somebody, with that subject, I've never been bothered until I'm in a restaurant and a vegetarian takes a piece of steak off my plate. I don't care if they're a vegetarian or not. If somebody does it because of the ethical standpoint of it, hey, that's to each their own type thing. But if someone tells me they're doing it for health reasons, that's where I'm like, I'm always going to allow people to be an idiot in some regards, but it's when they justify it with shitty logic. That's when I'm kind of like, well, wait a second here, like, you are making life a lot harder than it has to be.
Yeah, that's true. And the question, I went vegan for a whole year because I watched a couple documentaries like Forks Over Knives and Health Matters. And like, oh, I need to be vegan to be healthy and live long. And there's this China study that talked about meat being bad and increasing cardiovascular and heart attack risk and all that. So there's that. And then you have athletes like Djokovic who are vegan. But then you have people who eat meat and eat vegetables and fruits, so like more paleo type of thing. And then I'm trying to blend what I learned from like certain doctors, like Dr. Greger on nutritionfacts.org. He has a full vegan. He says it stops top 17 causes of death or whatever, like slows it. And then you have Peter Attia, he's talking longevity, and he has, he eats meat. And like I try to blend some of my sources together on nutrition, and I'm more paleo, I would say. Like I'll eat meat, but then make sure it's good source, like a grass-fed beef or free range chickens, and then like wild caught fish. Because if you're eating meat like that, then it's the healthiest version of it. And then you throw in vegetables and fruits and stay away from processed stuff that has chemicals in it. Then you're pretty much fine. Like you can eat meat and not die young or get cancer and all these things. It's moderation, I think.
And that's what's going on is I feel like that people have been conditioned so poorly. And as far as what they've learned about things is that people are so focused on counting calories. And it's like, hey, not all calories are created equal. Like when I eat a baked potato, that's different than eating a piece of bread. And that's really kind of been the focus that I've kind of been going on is that let's get single ingredient type foods in our lives a little bit more. Again, I still do have ice cream every now and again, and I'm sure there's some things that are in there that aren't the greatest, but again, and I think that language is good, is that what I try to tell people is that they call it a cheat day, and I'm like, no, call it a treat day. It literally sounds almost exactly the same, but it has such a more positive connotation to it, where it's like, and as I kind of go on of that, when I see somebody like, that's, I want everyone to be their healthiest or whatever, but when I see somebody eating something unhealthy and feeling bad about it, that's kind of the one where I'm like, no. Like, you need to feel good about doing this and understand it's not a whole thing. It's like, I feel like there's just that shift of mindset, which I never ever thought I'd be one of those guys, but just kind of having that more positive outlook of that, hey, I've worked hard, I deserve this, not the, oh, geez, I'm letting myself go today kind of thing.
That's funny. I had this conversation this morning with my client because I mentioned tracking. I used to track cheat days. I'm like, oh, that's, don't call it cheat. Like, just like you said, it's a treat. And it makes a lot of sense. Even on like Halloween, like I did not feel bad. I went around with my kid and I ate Kit Kats and Nerds. So I ate every other, like one box of Nerds. When that was finished, here's a Kit Kat. Nerds, Kit Kat. I had like 10 of each. So, and I did not feel bad about it. I'm like, yeah, I knew I was going to do this. It's Halloween. I'm going to eat. But only the ones I like. I didn't want to eat the Snickers. I didn't like the Snickers. I don't want to eat these other ones. So I didn't feel bad about it.
And I mean, we have coming up right now, we have the holidays, which is the ultimate, I mean, let's face it, like, this is a very, very food-based culture that we live in here in America. And it's like, you should not feel bad about enjoying a giant meal with your family, like.
True. There are some ways to mitigate these things if you know you're going to eat like a sugary ice cream or like what I just said on Halloween. Strength train right before it, because then your body wants sugar to be replaced its glycogen stores. So you can basically help divert that extra sugar into your muscles instead of fat cells.
Now, one thing, and I still incorporate this, okay? Out of all those years when you and I were going out 8 nights a week, but then still going to the gym the next day or whatever like that, this is one I've actually still incorporated in my own training routine. I start off my week of workouts by training legs. I remember you used to say that you used to start off where you would put the elliptical on like a fucking high resistance, where it's like you would like be lucky to get 5 minutes out of it, but you were like, and it makes sense to me, is that you're activating the biggest muscle group you have, which is your quads. And it's like you kick your body into overdrive, where then suddenly everything seems easy after that.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. I mean, working the leg muscles, and because then it's going to carry over the next couple of days as it repairs. So you're elevated your metabolism. I train legs 4 days a week, or I kind of take that one leg day and put one leg exercise in each of my workouts. I have 5-day plan because I'm out there playing tennis, and I train a bunch of tennis athletes also. So athletes, you don't want to have like a set leg day, because then they can't walk and they can't play their sport the next day. So if you can spread it out, and it also helps with weight loss too, because then you get like one leg exercise in each day, like a squat one day, a deadlift one day, a hamstring curl another day, a hip thrust another day, or a walk and lunge another day. And so that would be cool, because some people don't even like leg day anyway. That's their most dreaded day. Then if you spread it out, you guys guess you could look at it like, oh man, there's a leg exercise today, and they could dread that, or they could say there's only one leg exercise today.
That's actually, I think I like that too, because literally sometimes it makes it hard to get into the week when I know, because it's like when you can't be walking around grabbing your ass or feeling your thighs and without looking like a weirdo kind of thing. But I do have that.
Yep.
And then I'm like, wow, I'm going to have the hardest day at the gym, and I'm not going to even be able to feel like, when I take my shirt off before I take a shower after the gym, I'm not going to see a pump of any form necessarily, like, so I think I might actually kind of incorporate that a little bit, because, and I know we got to wrap this up because you got a session coming up here, but my typical kind of split is I'll do legs the one day, then I do back and arms the second day, I do shoulders the third day, and then I do chest on the fourth day. And I look forward most to the chest day, believe it or not. I still always love getting on the old fashioned. Well, the gym I work out, they don't let you have free benches anymore. It has to all be Smith machine, which is a, fucking travesty as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so you're on a 4-day plan?
A 4-day, and then I rest on the 5th day where I might, and honestly, here's the thing I found too. Walking for an extended period of time and running doesn't really change anything.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, one idea for you, I guess you could keep that same upper body routine that you have going on, and then maybe Monday, I mean, if you wanted to spread out your legs, you could even do chest twice a week if you really like it. You could do chest on Monday, like big movements like a press, and then flies on Thursday. So you can get them in twice, and then throw in some core every day. Switch between maybe the just general core and then maybe some obliques, and then throw in lower back and make sure you get some of that in there. And you could have a pretty good, if you wanted some ideas. I mean, that's
kind of what I was doing. I was checking to see what I'm doing, but also getting some, because I mean, again, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you're a professional at this.
Yeah, I guess I've been helping people out since 2011 when I first got my personal training certification. And then in the last 5 years, I've got strength coach, which is strength training athletes. Then I got sport nutrition specialists. And then I have tennis performance specialists, since I work at a tennis club. See all the hoppers next to me?
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, you guys just. I mean, I wasn't sure. For a guy with ADHD like me, I would be throwing tennis balls off the wall all day.
This is my cart. I have 3 medicine balls, a bunch of stuff in here, hurdles, ladders. I drag it out to a tennis court, and I make these kids do plyometrics and speed and quickness drills, and like the top performing kids, and they're top 100 in the Southern. They all play tournaments. Some of them are nationally ranked in the top 100s, ages 12 to 18. That's just part of some of the things. The other people are just tennis player and adults.
But honestly, it's one of these things, and I'm going to wrap this up for us right now because I know you got to get going for your next session. I don't want you to shortchange your clients that actually pay you probably good money to do what you do. But it is kind of funny that things come full circle in this life of that, you and I mean, shit, we're going on like almost like 15 to 20 years ago that you and I were, in each other's lives on a regular basis. And, it's no shocker that we've kind of turned out the way that we did, because I always like to tell stories and make people laugh and talk a lot. And even when we were doing the whole, party and hardy thing like that, you always kind of had this fitness persona going to you kind of thing where you always were, I remember we lived together with a couple other guys, and you were kind of always the, probably I wouldn't say the most strict with everything, but, you kind of did always kind of lend those guiding hands to people of stuff of, hey, that try this and try that kind of deal. So it's great to see that we're doing what we're doing now, and keep on doing on, because again, I see you posting your work out there. I mean, obviously you seem like a very happy guy. You're married. You got how many kids? You got 1 or 2?
1 kid.
Just 1? All right. Well, I mean, hey, you got some work to do. No, just kidding.
Oh yeah, he's like a mini me. He's very rebellious and has a crazy idea and just wants to do it. Like, the kid is 6 years old, and he wanted to ride his bicycle like 15 miles on this greenway thing. We're like, okay, bro, really? Like, yeah. I was like, I got a 1-wheel, so like I cruise next to him, and we actually accomplished it, and it took 5 hours maybe, and he's on a 1-speed little bike. I was like, This kid's crazy.
You know, it's you can't get upset when he's just a creation of your own. You know, he's just your creation. You know, you get to all the things that are wrong with you. You get to, and I don't want to say wrong, but all the things that are with you, they get reflected. I notice with friends that have kids, they're like, geez, I wish you wouldn't do that, but wait, that's just what I used to do. Like,
yeah, and he's an eater like me. He has this thing called calls it the cruise ship. It is it's hard-boiled eggs and scrambled eggs and some toast, and he'll take the half a hard-boiled egg and put scrambled eggs inside both sides of it, and then sandwich it with the bread. So there's a hard-boiled egg with scrambled egg on top, and then hard-boiled egg with scrambled egg on the bottom, and I'll push it together and eat this thing.
It sounds like the apple has not fallen too far from the tree there.
I was like, dude, that tastes good, man. Let me try it. So I made mommy make me the same thing. I was like,
well, it's been nice catching up with you. This was Richard Straitiff, my old friend here. You know, still friend, but we know obviously life gets in the way. We haven't talked like this, and you know, fucking over. I actually did I send you a picture when I was hanging out with Schoon?
Yeah.
Who is actually married to one of my friends. That it was like one of those weird things that I saw her and my buddy on Facebook, and I'm like, wait, am I seeing this right? Like, you know, and it's like two people who are very close to me at different times in their lives got married without having anything to do with me. Maybe if I had introduced them, it wouldn't have gone so well. Who knows? But life is certainly interesting. We just keep going on. But I'm gonna let you get going to your clients here. But you know, check out. Richard's got a bunch of different little links I posted on here. drfitness.fit or drfitness.fits, driftness blank or drift Dr. Dry. I don't know. They're reading on here. I'm you know, kind of trying to scroll along here, but determined results is the main thing that we're getting out of here. So, you know, don't beat yourself up. Just put your nose to the grindstone, and you know, you can build bad habits. You can build good habits is kind of the way I want to wrap this one up. So, Richard, it was a pleasure having you, and we'll be in touch. You know, hopefully the Bills. I've got Josh Allen to win MVP, and he just became the favorite after that one. That's his iconic performance yesterday, is that touchdown run he had. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy were you going during that?
I was going pretty crazy, so I was definitely cheering Mr. Josh. He's on my fantasy team, and so was Mahomes on the other one. So I was like, okay.
Well, you know, who gives a fuck about fantasy when we have reality?
Exactly. And
right,
real
buddy.
quick about some of these websites that you got scrolling. The drfitness.fit is my in-person training here in Charlotte at the Blakeney Club. And then I have determineresults.com. And that's pretty much a membership website where I have an app when I can take clients through build custom workouts for them. We have challenges, and I have all these pre-built workouts. So it's like online coaching. I think that's going to be like $28 a month with a $99 setup fee.
$1 a day.
Yep. And then Healthify is our new app that's rolling out at the end of December. I have a couple partners. We're going to roll that to more wellness, try to go for like small, medium businesses and just help them become more healthy. So you can sign up for the wait list on that one if you want.
All right. Well, we appreciate you having you. We got here at 10:29 is my time right now, and you got a 10:30 session. So appreciate having you, and we'll do a checkup report at some time. Okay, buddy?
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks for having me, Mr. Scho.
Yeah, no, I'm blocking. I got the green screen effect going, but I got you there. So take it easy, bud, and we'll catch up sometime down the road. All right.
All right. Awesome. Enjoy your day.
All right. That was, again, a lovely conversation about health and wellness with one of the most unlikely sources, I would say. An old drinking buddy from college back in the day. And now here we are talking to people about how to live life better because, well, we know it from experience. So everybody, thank you for tuning into that episode. Be sure to check out the links on there. I'll post them in the podcast forums, you know, for maybe you to click on. I'm still getting better at this. Bear with me. It all, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day is kind of how I end that. So everybody, thank you for tuning into the Scho-Zone. We recorded this on Monday, the 18th. I'll probably have this out in the next 2 days or so. So everybody have a good one. Boom.